Welcome to Partnered Up Business Law, Deals, and Dynamics.
Welcome to Partnered Up Business Law, Deals, and Dynamics with Jeff Fink, partner at Coren Lichtenstein LLP in Massachusetts. Jeff advises and coaches business owners and partners on formation, growth, and dispute resolution for closely held companies. I'm Evan Mack, and today we're talking about what makes business partnerships work and why the right collaboration can turn strategy into real sustainable growth. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Before we get into the topic, can you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what led you into business and partnership law and what keeps it interesting for you after all these years?
Sure. Well, I initially stumbled into it. I was trying different areas of law. There are things that I didn't like, and I started doing this, and I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of interesting. At this point, I've done every kind of deal that there is, and worked with lots of different people, lots of different companies. And the thing that still keeps it interesting is, one, the complexity of it. And two is that, the people and what they're trying to do and, the stories that they're telling when they're trying to do it, they're really interesting.
Can you share a story about a partnership that you've seen that truly fueled growth for both sides? What made that collaboration work?
Sure. I can think of two great examples. One was a complicated business joint venture where one side had some intellectual property and some manufacturing capability, and the other had a little intellectual property too, and great distribution channels. But together they put their intellectual property in place and all their resources in place into a new entity, a real partnership that actually held some of the assets, licensed some other assets in. There were service agreements. It was a pretty complicated deal, but it eventually did so well that they sold it off at a huge profit. So that worked for everybody. Another one that's on a bit of a smaller scale is an accounting firm I work with had a lot of clients that needed sophisticated tax help, but they didn't really have a tax specialist. So they found someone who was a tax specialist who also had some audit and advisory side work. And when they joined forces, it was, as partners, they did beautiful things. And the firm's still going strong.
So, Jeff, many business owners think of a partnership as just ownership or maybe equity. How do you define partnership in a broader sense, especially for small and mid-sized businesses?
Great question. A partnership is really a long-term, mutually beneficial arrangement that's hard to change. Anything that's a one-off transaction isn't a real partnership, or something that you can change up pretty easily isn't. Example is, the place you get your copy paper. You can always order it from somebody else if you get a cheaper deal on it. That's not a partnership. Something that is a partnership, like investment partnerships. I do a lot of real estate development partnerships. So people will set something up where one person has development skills and somebody else has money, and they put things into place. So it's actually, legally a partnership, or an LLC. Another great example is a custom manufacturing agreement. So there are a lot of companies that have long-term relationships for doing custom work, whether it's components for something that they're building or it's the companies that make the components. And really both sides are cooperating to produce something that neither could produce and sell on its own. So that's a recipe for a successful partnership.
From your experience, what kind of goals or situations tell a business it's time to bring in a partner instead of trying to do everything in-house?
Well, we all want to do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
We all want to be independent. That's American culture. The Marlboro Man riding on the range. People listening get nothing else from today. They should keep in mind that nobody can be all things to everyone all the time. Honestly, it's just like in your personal relationships. You can't be all things to everyone all the time. So when you're deciding, should I do this myself? Should I partner up with somebody else? Ask why you're in business. And that could be, the dreaded corporate mission statement, which I used to hate, but now think is pretty useful. Why are you doing this? And then you look at your business model that really helps to implement that. I don't want to show up for somebody else's book, but I like looking at the 9 elements that are talked about in this book. It's called Business Model Generation. That something called the business model canvas that comes out of that a lot of business coaches will use. So you take a look at that and ask, okay, of these 9 elements, of all the things that go into making the business work, which we have to have all 9 of them, which are the ones I'm really good at and need to keep in house? So some examples are like, what are my customer relationships like? Well, if they're not great, you might need help building that up through a partnership. Uh, what's my value proposition? What is it that I add to the recipe? And sometimes that means partnering up with somebody else in order to to really strengthen that. What are my sales channels? We talked about that before with that other joint venture. What are key resources that I need to do this? And is that something I can put together myself? Is that something I want to partner up with somebody for a while to see if I can develop it? Or is it something I need a long-term relationship for? And all of that feeds into one of the elements. Who are my key partners in making what I want to do happen?
So Jeff, what tends to go wrong when partnerships fail? Is it usually about the wrong partner, unclear terms, or is it something deeper like maybe culture or trust?
Well, one of my law professors used to say that the answer is it depends. Um, I hated that class. It can be all of those things.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the wrong partner for the wrong reasons. Again, just like in our personal lives. Um, with small businesses, there's can be a perception that not everyone's pulling their weight. Classic example of that is when one partner generates business and the other partner actually does the back office work, and the two of them don't really value each other. Reality is you need both sides in order to do what you're doing. Uh, but they sometimes fight over that, particularly when there's been a merger or you're forming a separate entity to hold your partnership. Culture mismatch is a huge reason why people leave. We see that a lot in professional service businesses. In my own business and in a law firm. And then unfortunately, there's the old nasty saying, my partnership failed because I woke up one morning to find that my partner was stealing even more than I was. And that happens. That does happen. And there's many variations on this as there are situations, as there are people.
Hmm. When you help clients set up these partnerships, what do you focus on first? The structure in legal terms, or the human factors like communication, incentives, and conflict management?
There is a question that I always ask people, which is, all this stuff's important, but why do you want to partner up with someone, and to what end? So kind of goes back to the last question. If you know why you're doing this, then that's going to drive the structure, that's going to drive the incentives, and it's going to drive everything else. And of course you have to get things right technically, but the technical stuff really is dependent on why you're doing it in the first place.
So, Jeff, for anyone listening who's considering a strategic partnership right now, what's the one practical step they can take to test whether it's the right fit for them?
Same kind of answer. You
Right.
got to ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish and why? Um, and then what do I think the other side is trying to accomplish and why? And then is there a way to bridge that gap? You may want one thing, your partner wants something else, or potential partner wants something else. And if there's no overlap, if they don't connect, then you don't have a partnership. If you both want exactly the same thing, you're going to fight over it, because the negotiation turns everything into a zero sum game. If there's some kind of overlap that's where you can bridge your interests, then that's that's a sign that there's some possibility there. But again, it goes back to, what am I trying to do?
Jeff, appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you very much. Great to talk to you.
Absolutely. That's it for today's episode of Partnered Up, Business Law, Deals, and Dynamics. To learn more about Jeff Fink and his work at Coren Lichtenstein LLP, visit cl-lawgroup.com. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review so other business owners can find the show as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.